Today we'll be making this little flame and look at how I use Blender's new light group feature to improve the final result. This video is sponsored by Looking Glass. Couple quick updates. I just released a My First Character Rig class for Blender on Skillshare and Gumroad. I've also lowered the price of all my older courses. A free update is coming to the Crafty asset pack, and it'll be going on sale at the end of this month. Links below. Now, let's get started. Looking Glass makes these really cool holographic displays, and they can have up to 108-degree views. It's really cool. It looks like 3D's popping out of your screen, and I wanted to render a little fireplace for my desk, so that's what I created here. At the end of the video, I'll show you a tutorial of how to use their add-on, and you can check out their product at a link in the description below. But let's get started. So let's go ahead and create a little model to get started with our fire. So for our fire here, I'm going to go ahead, hit Shift A, go to Mesh, and I'm going to add Round Cube. Now, if you don't see Round Cube, it's up here under your preferences. There is a free add-on called Extra Objects, which you can enable, and that will give you that option. So let's go ahead, Mash Round Cube. I'm going to change this to a quad sphere. Then I'm going to leave mine to 8 divisions. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this and we're going to tab into Edit View here. We're going to go to the top view and we're going to grab that single vertex right there. I'm going to switch back to the front view and I'm going to turn on this proportional editing up here. And we're just going to drag this up to create a flame. So I'm going to bring that up to right about there. And I'm just moving the size of that proportional editing with my mouse wheel. Perfect. Now I'm going to switch to the side view here and I'm going to shrink this in just a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead, select everything with A, press S and then Y and shrink that ever so slightly, to get that a little bit more of a flatter, cartoony look. Now what I'm going to do is turn off proportional editing. I'm going to press A, select everything, hit Shift D, press Y, move that forward on the Y so it's out here. We're going to shrink this down. So let's go ahead, shrink that down to maybe around there. So just press S and you can scale in. Move that down on the Z axis there. And we'll switch back to our side view here. And I'm just going to move this back so it's kind of pushed in there. We're going to go ahead there, and I'm just going to rotate that forward a bit. Great. And what that's going to do is give us that kind of like little cartoon flame effect. And because I'm going to be keeping this fire facing the camera, that'll kind of maintain its visual aesthetic. Great. We're going to switch back out to object mode here. We're going to change this to smooth, and then we're going to go ahead and begin adding some modifiers here. Now, I've seen a couple tutorials do this style of fire system, and they tend to go for more of a realistic flame, whereas I wanted to kind of create what looked like a claymation flame or something simpler. So we're going to go ahead, add our modifiers here. And we're going to go ahead and add a displace modifier. And we're going to go ahead and click new here. And I'm just going to call this something like fire texture. Great. And then we'll come over to the texture tab here, and we're going to create a cloud texture. So if we come down here to the type, we can go ahead, scroll down here until we hit clouds. And then we want very low detail. So we'll leave these to the default setting, but we'll go ahead, change the size to something like 0.75. Great. And that's going to give us a kind of large, mushy looking cloud. And then what we'll do is we'll take our depth here and we'll put that down to 0, which is going to give us an even softer look. And as you see over here, this does not look like a fire yet. So what we're going to do is come back over here to our displacement object, and we're going to end up using this vertex group option. So I'm going to go ahead, tab into edit view here, and we're going to decide what vertices we want to add to our vertex group. So go ahead, add a new vertex group here. We'll call this fire. And then we will grab the wireframe view here. Once we're in wireframe view, we're going to go ahead, select maybe this kind of upper half right around there. And then with our weight set to 1, we'll hit assign. And then let's switch over to weight paint mode. And you'll see here that we have a pretty harsh line. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to our weights. We're going to click this smooth option here. And then right now we have it set to active group. And we're going to go ahead and just crank up the iterations until we get a good gradient there. And we're going to put that quite high, something like maybe around 30. Looks pretty good. Great. Now let's tab back out into object mode. And we're going to come back over here. And then under our vertex group, we're going to select fire. Great. And now you see how it's not affecting the bottom. Now, this next tip I actually found out online, and the person who answered had originally commented to the original artist page, which unfortunately the link had expired. The artist must have deleted their page, so I'm not able to find their original page to credit them. So if you're familiar with that person or artist, let me know and I will add them to the description. But what they recommended doing is using object for coordinates. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First, we're going to tab into edit mode here, and we're going to go ahead and bring this up to the tip of the origin there. I'm going to switch back out to object mode. And then up here for coordinates, by default, it'll be set to local. So we're going to go ahead and set ours to object. We're going to go ahead here. We're going to create an empty. I'm going to grab this plane, and we're just going to call this fire.1. We're going to go ahead, grab this here, and we're going to click fire.1. And then now when we grab this, it will animate our flame for us. Perfect. And that will give us kind of a simple little flame. Now what we can do is we can grab this and we can adjust the strength. So I'm going to go ahead, set mine to around 0.3. And you can see how that's giving me just a very subtle fire effect. So before moving on to an automatic animation, what I am going to do is come up here to the modifier. I'm going to add a subdivision surface, and that's just going to smooth that out more, giving us a more kind of natural little flame work. Perfect. Now if I come back here, we'll grab this right here and we'll look at the local coordinates, and we'll see that the Z is up. So we'll come to the item, and what we're going to do on the location is we're going to type #frame. And then we'll do something like divided by 100 and see how that looks. We'll go ahead, hit play here. We'll see. So next what we'll do is we will go ahead and grab this empty here, and we're going to grab the Z value of the location and the transform of the item window. We're going to type #frame, and we'll divide that by 5, and that's just going to slow it down a bit. And then when we press play there, that'll just fly off to infinity, and you can see how our flame is moving there. Now what I went ahead and did is I went ahead, took this empty and this fire object here, let's go ahead, call that fire. And I added another empty, a cone, and I just rotated that up to kind of envelop my flame. And then I took this empty and this flame and then selected this cone last and put object keep transform and hit F2 fire control. Just name that there. And this allowed me to kind of move my fire around the scene wherever I wanted. Now for that clay shader, I already have a tutorial on how to do that on this channel if you haven't already seen that. And then for my final render, I was checking out Doublegum's new shader. That's a pretty good one. And then I also have my own clay shader in my full asset pack. If you have that already or are interested, check it out below. Great. So next, let's kind of move on to how to add a basic particle system. So I just went ahead and added a just simple little icosphere down here. And what I did is I grabbed my fire here. We're going to add a new particle here. And then we're going to use this emitter there. And then we'll come down here. We'll change render as halo to object. And I'm going to choose that fire particle, which again, like I said, is just a small little thing. And you can see how that's kind of spitting that out everywhere. So let's go ahead, bump that scale up to 1. Let's change that scale randomness to about 0.5 or maybe 0.25, depending on how drastic you want that to be. And for the density down here under the vertex groups, we already have that fire created, and that will kind of pull that in from there. Now, my fire particles are moving upwards, and the simple way to do that is I've already changed it. But if you come up here under the scene properties, you can see this gravity units. You can twirl that down, and you can change that Z value from a negative value to a positive value, meaning it will go up. I set mine to +4, and that got me a speed that I was happy with. And then, of course, I just went ahead and turned these particles down quite a bit to about 25, and then you can end their life a bit quicker too, setting that to about 50, and that'll just make them kind of dissipate as they go up. So that's about how I did the particle. Next, let's look at how I created that fire flicker effect using Blender's new powerful light group feature. Great, so I've gone ahead and just created a basic lighting setup here so I can show you this next step. Now, if you want these logs here, those are actually part of my free update to the Crafty asset pack, and they will be included in the free version as well, so you can get that in link below if you want to add some logs to your scene. So over here, we're going to open a compositor tab, and we need to create a new light group and enable the light groups under there. So what we'll do is we'll come up here, and we're going to grab some of our lights here. So if I go ahead and take this light up here, which you can see is controlling kind of the red light flicker of our scene, we'll go ahead here and add this to its own group. So to access light groups, you're going to come under here, under your view layer properties tab here. And then down here, you'll have this light group options. We'll go ahead, delete that. We'll add a new one there, and we'll call this one Fire 1. We'll go ahead, add another one and call this one Fire 2. So if we go ahead and select our spotlight here, and then we come up here under the object properties tab, I really think this should be under lighting properties. I'm kind of hoping they move it. And you come down here to shading, you'll see that you have the option to choose a light group. I'll add this one to Fire 1. Let's grab some of these other ones and we'll add one to fire 1 and we'll add one to fire 2 and then we'll leave one kind of out of it. Now when we hit render over here, we will get a bunch of options light groups. So let's see what that looks like. So after you've rendered your image and you have light groups enabled, you will see that you get these new options over here. So if I go ahead and grab those and drag this over here into the compositor, you can see that it is only displaying the lighting information from the lights that were put into that light group. So where this became powerful in certain instances, like this fire, is that I can then kind of control the flicker of that light in post. So if I go ahead here, I go Shift A, I take a mix node here, go ahead, we'll grab the original image here, and we'll move this into the final area over here. We'll go ahead and move that from factor into the bottom image there. You can see how that's getting me my final result. I'm going to go ahead and move this into the top slot here, and we're going to go ahead and control this fire 2 here. And then we'll go ahead and grab this into the factor. And then now if I hit search and I add a bright contrast node, for example, and I put this here, I can go ahead and make adjustments there so that if I go ahead and add 50 there, we can see how it is brightening up the area there so that I can then animate these properties. Now, I know that you can animate, for example, the light power and the rendering of the scene, but the great thing about this is that I can render out the 3D process, which is a slow kind of long render, and then I can go ahead and animate this in the compositor, which is fast and quick and easy to re-render, so that if I don't like the way a flicker works, I only have to do a simple re-render from here. So if I go ahead, come down here to the graph editor there, and I go ahead and insert a keyframe on this, you'll see it appear down here. I can grab that, add a modifier here, and then just add some noise. And then I can go ahead and crank this up to something like 250. And we'll see that now we're getting kind of a large brightness lane, and that is kind of flickering as we play back there. So that's kind of how I went about compositing this fire using light groups to my advantage. Let's take a look at how to use the Looking Glass Portrait add-on if you'd like to go ahead and get yourself one and see how simple it is to render an animation for it. So if you're interested in getting a Looking Glass, they actually have their own add-on, which you can download from GitHub, linked on their website. I'll put that to the link in the description below. But it's really simple. This add-on is installed, and once you've enabled it, it will appear over here. You just go ahead, grab a camera, click that, and then what it will do is it'll give you a field of view, the clip start and end, so what the camera will see. Go ahead, put that there, and adjust where I want my focus to be, right there on my flame. And then down here, they have your device. So I have the Looking Glass Portrait. And then down here, I can decide what I have. I can render the portrait view of 48 views, 88 views, 91 views, 108 views, and so on. And then I can choose to render a single image or an animation. And then after that, I'll just click and it'll cycle through those. And then I can switch over and I can use their software where I can take these quilt files and go ahead and just drag them onto my portrait, and then bam, they appear on my portrait. It's as simple as that. As usual, thank you for watching, and tag me in your creations at Southern Shoddy on Instagram and Twitter so that I can see what you've made. If you're interested in supporting the channel or getting some project files, I do have a Patreon and products that I sell. Links in the description below.